So if the last 6 months in AI felt, I don't know, a little chaotic, you're not wrong. It has been an absolutely dizzying storm of breakthroughs, backlash, and these massive billion-dollar bets. But this isn't just random chaos. What we're seeing is a truly pivotal moment, a kind of Cambrian explosion where new forms of digital intelligence are evolving at a pace we have never, ever seen before. So let's break it down and really try to understand the 6 months that changed everything.
Okay, to really get a handle on just how fast this is all moving, you have to start right here. Back in early March 2026, OpenAI dropped what was basically a bombshell. Their new model, GPT 5.4, wasn't just, a little better at chatting, it was the first AI to actually outperform humans on real-world desktop tasks. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. All the complex, multi-step things we do at our computers every single day, an AI can now do them better and faster. This is way more than just an efficiency boost. It's about fundamentally changing the very nature of work, from doing tasks to directing.
And this stuff is not just happening in a lab somewhere. The economic shockwaves, they hit almost immediately. In one single week in March, huge companies like Oracle and Block announced a combined 34,000 job cuts. And they were explicit about it. They came right out and said it was because of AI automation. This wasn't some vague promise of future efficiency. This was a direct statement that thousands of roles were, essentially, now redundant.
At the very same time, the financial stakes in this game are just astronomical and incredibly volatile. I mean, take OpenAI's video generator, Sora. It had this huge launch, everyone was talking about it, but the app was burning through an estimated $15 million a day in computing costs. It just couldn't make money fast enough, and they had to shut it down. That incredible burn rate shows you just how high risk this whole thing is. It proves that behind all the cool breakthroughs, there was a full-blown war being fought.
Yeah, what we're really watching here is a full-blown war for AI supremacy. And it's a fight happening on three main fronts. You've got the race to build the most powerful models, the fight to raise just staggering amounts of money, and the battle to control the physical hardware, the metal, that makes it all run.
Right at the heart of all this are the model wars. So in one corner, you've got Google coming out swinging with Gemini 3.1 Ultra. And get this, it had a 2 million token context window. Now, to put that in perspective, that's like feeding an AI all 7 Harry Potter books at once and then asking it about the color of a character's socks in Chapter 2 of Book 4. It just remembers everything. And then, in the other corner, you have OpenAI countering with GPT 5.4, the model that beat that human benchmark. It is a direct clash of titans.
And the pace? It's just relentless. I mean, look at this. These weren't releases spaced out over a year. No, they were happening within days, sometimes just hours, of each other. OpenAI launches on the 5th, Google hits back on the 20th, and just 2 days later, Elon Musk's XAI drops its own model. The entire cycle of innovation is now being measured in weeks, not years. It's wild.
Of course, this race is being fueled by unbelievable amounts of money. OpenAI is on a path to pull in $25 billion a year. And that's not investment money. That's actual revenue. That tells you the market for this stuff isn't just, emerging anymore. It's exploding into one of the fastest growing industries we have ever seen.
And this is not just a Silicon Valley story. Not at all. Over in Paris, a new startup, AI Labs, raised over $1 billion. And that was in its seed round. That's the largest in European history. It's a huge signal that really powerful, really well-funded competitors are popping up all over the globe.
But underneath all of this, beneath the models and the money, is the battle for hardware. NVIDIA, who's been the undisputed king, unveiled its next-gen platform. But you've got giants like Meta fighting back, designing their own chips to try and break that dependency. And then Google is innovating on efficiency, figuring out new ways to run these huge models with less memory. The takeaway here is really simple. Whoever controls the chips holds a massive amount of power over where AI goes next. So, this high-stakes race isn't just happening behind the closed doors of tech companies. All this technology is rapidly breaking out of the lab and weaving itself into the fabric of our world, showing up in places you might never, ever expect.
I mean, just look at how broad this is. You've got Amazon and healthcare offering a 24/7 AI health agent to Prime members. Ford is using AI to manage entire commercial fleets. Pharma giant Eli Lilly is using a new supercomputer to literally cut drug discovery time in half. Even governments are getting in on it, with the EU using AI to track down food fraud. It's everywhere.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang really summed it up perfectly.
He said AI has moved from being this experimental thing to a core operating layer for global industry. It's not a science project anymore. It's becoming a fundamental utility, kind of like electricity or the internet. It's just part of how business gets done now.
But, okay, this super fast integration of AI, it comes at a price. This shift is creating some profound and often really painful consequences for people. We have to talk about the human cost of this boom, from job security all the way to these deep ethical battles. This quote from the CEO of Atlassian is just incredibly revealing. He's not just talking about cutting costs. He's saying that AI has fundamentally changed the kind of people his company needs. It's a really stark admission that the workforce itself is being reshaped, and he's saying that for a lot of people, that pivot is just unavoidable.
And that's not just talk. I mean, here's the data to prove it. You see Oracle cutting tens of thousands of jobs, and right alongside them, significant layoffs at companies like Block and Atlassian. These aren't just little trims around the edges. These are massive restructurings.
And what's really different this time around is who is being affected. A major study from Microsoft Research found that high-skill, white-collar jobs are now the most exposed to disruption. We're talking about finance, law, even software engineering, professions that, frankly, many of us thought were going to be safe from automation forever.
Beyond just jobs, this moment is forcing some really deep ethical questions. And here you can see a really clear divide. OpenAI signed this major, pretty controversial deal to put its AI on Pentagon networks, and there was this huge public backlash. At the exact same time, its main rival, Anthropic, publicly refused to do the same deal, citing ethical reasons, and their app, Claude, shot straight to #1 on the App Store. So you have two labs, two completely different philosophies, and immediate, real-world consequences.
So, with all that said, where is this all heading? Well, the next great leap is already happening. We are moving away from AI as just a tool you command to AI as an autonomous partner that works alongside you. This is the dawn of the AI agent. So what in the world is agentic AI? Let's just break it down super simply. It's an AI that you don't give step-by-step instructions to. Instead, you just give it a high-level goal, like, hey, plan my team's off-site trip to Lisbon. The agent then figures out the plan on its own. It accesses the tools it needs, like flight websites, calendars, spreadsheets, and it executes the entire thing without you holding its hand. And this isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. The plumbing for this is already being laid. A new industry standard that lets these agents connect to different tools and apps has already been installed almost 100 million times. That's the proof right there that the entire industry is rapidly gearing up for a world full of these autonomous agents.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just give it a goal, no micromanaging. Then, the agent intelligently figures out and connects to the tools it needs, your email, your web browser, maybe even your company's internal software. And finally, it just executes the entire workflow, jumping between all those different apps totally on its own to get the job done.
And this brings us right back to where we started. Remember that benchmark from the beginning, when OpenAI's model beat humans at desktop tasks? That was the moment. That was the first real demonstration that an AI could be a true agent. And that's the key takeaway here. That one event marked the official shift from thinking about AI as a simple chat tool to thinking about it as an autonomous digital coworker.
So look, this technology is no longer on the horizon. It's here. The Cambrian explosion has happened, and these new forms of digital life are all around us. The race for supremacy isn't slowing down, our world is going to keep changing, and the ethical debates are only going to get louder. So the real question for all of us is no longer if this is happening, but how we're going to choose to partner with these new autonomous agents in our work and in our lives.